Good afternoon, guys. Here we are in the Fast Tech Studios. We are Wednesday. I want to thank you for joining us live. We are here on YouTube, so I do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do have a whole bunch of videos and information coming out for you guys as the channel goes along. But today, what do I have for you, right? If you guys kind of kept up a little bit with us on Facebook and Instagram, we kind of threw some posts out there. We've been getting a lot of questions about catch cans, right? And what goes into a catch can? Why do I need a catch can? What's the purpose of a catch can? Well, this catch can that I have for you guys today is from a brand called JLT. Now, JLT, they're kind of known for their catch cans and their intake systems. Their intake systems providing a large 5-inch diameter, and their catch cans offering an easy bolt-on system that requires virtually no modification to your setup. They do have specifics as far as everything's dialed in, so everything that's dialed in is really per model. So there is an SS version for the 6th gen, there's an SS version for the 5th gen, and also the 5th gen ZL1. Now, they are working on developing some other systems, obviously, for you V6 guys, you ZL1, LT4 guys. They are thinking about doing that stuff, so it is something that we've kind of tossed at them. Hey, you guys might want to think about it, especially with as good a product that these guys actually create. Okay, so these systems, the JLT system, they're offered both in the black and the clear anodized, or I like to call it kind of the brushed look. So that's kind of what they look like right here. Now, these systems are going to provide everything you need for an easy install. Now, this kit I have specifically broken out right here is for the 5th gen SS. And like I said, there are the 6th gen systems which are available as well, also in the black and the clear anodized. Now, let's get into what is a catch can? What's the purpose of the catch can? Okay, why do you need one, right? Well, a catch can, I like to kind of describe it as something that kind of prevents a little bit more maintenance than you would really do to take care of your car. You know, when you go to the dealership and they offer the services that they can do, the valve cleanings, and you know, they offer the little additives that they toss in there. A catch can really kind of prolongs that maintenance that's needed. Okay, so what a catch can does, okay, what a catch can does, it catches all the oil deposits inside the crankcase pressure that's there. Your engine, once it's running, it creates a lot of pressure, and that's why you see a bunch of different vacuum lines going different ways throughout the motor. Okay, no, what the catch can does, it basically sits in line. So you have your factory hose, and I'll show you in a second, because we're actually going to install a can here on this 5th gen that I have behind me. So what a catch can does is basically your factory system has a hose that's connected. It's obviously either a lot shorter or a lot longer, depending on where the PVC system is. So what the catch can does, it basically sits in line of that factory line. And then what it does, it catches the oil deposits that are sent through it, through the crank with the crankcase pressure. It sends all that, and all those oil deposits are basically sent into the inlet, and then they're sent through the filter here. This micron filter that they have in place, that filter is what it's going to do is it's going to catch all the oil vapors, all the oil inside the air, the crankcase pressure. It's going to catch all that and then basically drop it down into the can itself. Okay, so then once it does, it catches everything, all the oil and all the deposits and everything are going to come in through here. And then the pressure is obviously still going to go out through the out system. If you can kind of see in there, it's got the valve in, or it's not a valve, but it's got the provision there, so that way the pressure and everything is released, comes back out into the circular system. So it kind of goes all in through there, keeps everything normal factory operation, but with this can in place, so that way it catches those oil deposits. So that is the purpose of a catch can. Now, why do you need one, right? Now, why do you need one on your Camaro? Well, you need one on your Camaro because when you're doing these spirited drivings, you're creating a lot of the crankcase pressure. The LT1s are known for a lot of crankcase pressure. So even these LS3s, these LT1s, all that crankcase pressure is basically fed through here to catch those oil deposits. And you want to keep those oil deposits out because those oil deposits over time will rob a lot of your horsepower. They get on your intake manifold, it kind of coats your intake manifold, gets a nice wet look. If you guys have ever taken your throttle body off a factory one, kind of look through the intake there, you'll see all those oil deposits. Or if you've ever taken off your intake and you looked at your throttle body, you'll see a black line that goes around the entire throttle body blade itself. That black line is also caused by that crankcase pressure and those oil deposits. So you want to kind of get rid of that because it prolongs the maintenance that you have to do. So that kind of rolls into why you need one, why we suggest one. So you want to get rid of that because you want to prolong that maintenance. Now, into installation. Ricardo, how hard is this? Can I do it by myself in my garage? Yeah, you really can. Now, there are different things that you have to do for different models. Obviously, with the different changes on the LS3, the LT1, the LSA, the LT4, the V6, all you guys, the Turbo 4 guys, all you guys. There are different ways that you have to mount the catch cans in place, okay? Now, JLT has made it very simple and very easy for you SS guys that just want to rock these cans, okay? They made, like I said, a nice black anodized, a nice clear finish, so you can have your selection as far as what finish. As far as mounting and hose routing, they made it very easy, okay? Very easy to install. Realistically, I've done it before. Realistically, it's gonna take me probably 10, maybe 15 minutes at max. If you haven't done it before and you need to read the instructions, not a problem. They have very nice, very detailed instructions that they send out with the kits. Okay, now, I know we've also gotten the question as far as fitment. Ricardo, I got an automatic transmission. Ricardo, I got a manual transmission. Is this can gonna work for me? Now, 6 gens. Yes, the catch can either way, no matter which one you have. This can over here is for a 6 gen. So this setup right here, it's already got the 6 gen in mind. It's got the nice bracket and everything that comes with it, so it's gonna be easily mounted. This can right here is gonna work for you automatic or manual transmissions for the SS, okay? For the SS, automatic or manual, no problem. LT1, it's gonna be great. It's gonna bolt right in, not a single problem. LT4, now you guys are a little different since you are boosted. Unfortunately, JLT doesn't have one quite yet, but I do know that they do have an LT4 on their hands, so who knows, something might be coming down the line. So, back to you 5th gen guys. Your 5th gen guys, automatic and manual. Now, there's been a couple of catch cans that we have offered that are all manual transmission only. You might be asking yourself, why is a manual transmission only and not an automatic? Well, there's 2 different systems that go into it. Because of the automatic has the DOD or the VVT, AFM, however you kind of refer to it, because it has that, the ventilation is different on the automatics than it is the manual. And I'll show you in a little bit. Once we get the engine cover off, I'll show you a little bit and kind of show you what I'm talking about. So, is this catch can work for my manual or automatic? Yes. JLT provides both provisions for automatic or manual. So you'll have the same setup, same catch can, same mounting, same virtually everything, just a couple of different lines. Now you see 3 different lines and you're probably thinking, there's 2 provisions here on the can, but he's got 3 lines sitting on the table. Well, that's where the 3 lines come in. That's where the automatic transmission guys come in. Is because of the different routing you guys have, JLT provides a longer line so that way he can access the hose that's needed for you guys to tap into. Manual transmission guys, I'm going to show you right now. It's a lot easier. So you just need the 2 short ones. No problem, right? Very easy. But like I said, guys, JLT, very detailed instructions, tells you exactly what you have to do so that way you guys can have no problem installing this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to install it. Why? Because, I mean, we can, right? Why not do a live install? I told you it's going to take me 5-10 minutes. Why not show you it's actually going to take that long? Now, I know you guys, some of you guys might not be mechanically inclined. It's really not that hard, guys. If you can turn a wrench, you can turn a couple screwdrivers, you should be able to install this, no problem in your driveway. Realistically take 20 minutes, realistically. Okay, so I got some tools laid out here. Okay, I got the tools laid out here. This is what we're gonna need to install it on this 5th gen. 6th gen guys, you're gonna need the similar tools. I wanna say this ratchet right here, I need a 15 for one of the bolts for the mounting bracket. You 6th gen guys, you're gonna need a 13 just because of the location and the different bracket. So, I got my ratchet with the correct socket on it. I got a Phillips screwdriver so that way I can take these nice machine screws and put them right back on the bracket and mount the can to the bracket. I got a little pocket screwdriver and I got a trim tool. These are just in case. This is not really necessary, but just in case because let's admit it, sometimes getting your hands in these tight spots are a little difficult. So I have these here. I got a flashlight, my trusty little flashlight here. This is basically going to allow you guys to see exactly what I'm doing. I know it's going to be a little dark under the hood, so I got this light so that way we can at least bright the way and show you guys exactly, get you all tuned in there. So why don't we just jump right into it, right? I'm gonna get my camera guy over here, and the first thing I'm gonna grab, okay, because you always wanna make sure your paint's protected, right? So the first thing I'm gonna grab is obviously my fender mat, okay? Now I use these every time I'm out in the shop. I always grab my trusty fender mat because you wanna make sure when you're leaning on this car, your belt buckle doesn't scratch or anything like that. You wanna make sure you got that protected. Okay, so here we are under the hood, okay? Under the hood. Now the first thing you really have to do when you're installing one of these cans is remove the engine cover. We got to move some stuff out of the way. That's the first thing we're going to do before we go ahead and mount the can in place. So our engine cover here, remove our oil fill cap, and simply just pop it up and then slide it right back. I'm going to go ahead and set this down so we don't damage that nice paint we got going on this one. So I'm going to set that down here. Then I'm going to come back over here, and I always put my oil fill cap back in place just to make sure I don't drop anything down in there. The last thing you want to do is drop something down in there, right? So what we're going to need to do, since we have a manual transmission, okay, this car, manual transmission, LS3. The hose that we need to get is right down in here, right under this intake. You see this sensor right here at the top of the manifold? It's right under it. So we're going to have to get our hands in there. That's where the pocket screwdriver or the trim tool kind of comes in. If we can't get our hands in there, those kind of come in and can help us out a little bit. Now, one thing I want to touch on before we get started on pulling this thing apart is you automatic guys. You automatic guys might be wondering, well, where's my hose going to route or run? You automatic guys, when I pull this off for the LS3, you're going to see it's just a little U-shaped tube. When I pull that off, that's all that's going to be for the LS3 guys. Now, you automatic guys, here's the difference. You're going to have another hose, another tube that comes up and around. It runs right along this one right here. It's going to run right along this one right here, and then it's going to go all the way back. It's going to go all the way back here to the back of the engine, right on top of the valve cover, right behind your last coil. It's got a little cap on there right now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's got a little cap on there right now, but that is where you'll need to remove the factory line and then make a cut and slide the JLT line in place over the factory line so that way you can make a nice good connection. So that's for automatics. Okay, now we're going to jump right into the install on this LS3. Okay, so what I have here, what I'm going to do now, since ours is a 2010, we have the hose that routed up top. You 2012 and later guys, so you 2012 to 2015 guys, this was all moved back over here to the side, so you won't have these hoses. But for you early 15 guys, you 2010, 2011, you're going to have these. So keep that in mind as well. So all I'm going to do, get those moved out of the way, kind of tuck them back a little bit, so that way we have some room. Now, getting our hands in here is a little difficult. Obviously, we've got bigger hands. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove some of these connectors here. Just remove that connector right out of the way. Move this line right here. It's our evap line. Squeeze the tab. There we go. Disconnect it from there. And this little tab right here, guys, all you got to do, push it and it loosens it. And you got to pull it up. So we'll move that out of the way. Move that out of the way. Get my lines to stay down here. And then what we're going to have to do is get right in here. This little U-shaped tube. Hopefully you guys can see it. Let me grab my flashlight and see if you guys can see it. Right in there. That tube right here is what we're going to get. So, since we have to get that tube, that's where we're going to have to get our fingers in there, and it's going to be a little tight. Okay, but there's a clip on the back side, and I'll show you exactly what the clip looks like. There's a clip on the black side here that we'll just have to remove. And I get the top one first because that's the easiest one I can reach. Once I get that loose, you see that one right there? Once I get that loose, go ahead and get the bottom one. You might have to kind of twist it a little bit so that way you can see the clip, or at least feel the clip, and get your hand in there and remove it. There we go. So this is the clip we're talking about. This right here is what's hard to see. This right here, this little clip, for you fit gen guys, all you have to do is take it, and it's got a little lip right there that kind of locks it in place. Lift it just a bit, push it back, and then that loosens the entire tab. So then you're able to pull the whole thing out. Okay, so that little U-shaped piece is the reason we got to kind of get in there. So, since we're in there, we'll go ahead and take our JLT lines. Now remember, manual transmission, we've got two different size lines, right? One's a little shorter than the other. The shorter one, we're gonna go to the bottom. We're gonna go to the bottom side right here, right in the valley, right in there. Hopefully you guys can see that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna route it this way. Okay, I'm gonna route it this way, put it right back in place, and once you feel it clip, go ahead and give it a nice tug. It's not coming off. Okay, so now we have our other line, a longer line. What I'm gonna do, I like to keep my engine blade kind of clean, so I might route some hoses at some different locations, so that way it looks a little cleaner. But that one's gonna go to the manifold side. Got it clipped in there, nice little tug, not going anywhere, right? Okay. So now that I got my lines in place and where I need them, what I'm going to do, reinstall the factory evap line, push that back on. All you got to do is push it on, hear the clip, we're good. Factory connector over here, hear that clip, we're good. Get my JLT lines over here, put my coolant lines back where they go, and look how nice and easy those are. They're not really flexing, not binding on anything. Nice installation right there. So then, now I'm going to take my socket, my ratchet, and I'm going to go right after that tensioner bolt right there. You see that? Right after that tensioner bolt. I'm going to go ahead and get that removed. Now this bolt's a little long because it's got to go through the tensioner itself and then bolt down on the water pump. So it's going to take a little bit of twisting, a little bit of maneuvering, and we should be able to get it off real quick, no problem. And then all we're going to do, guys, once we get this bolt out of here, all we're going to do is go ahead and slide it off real quick. Take our mounting bracket, slide our bracket in place, and then bolt that bolt right back down. All right, and we'll kind of get it as level as possible. And the JLT, you'll see the JLT stamped in their bracket. That's going to be basically facing you so you can read it. So then we'll go ahead and tighten that back down. Go ahead and tighten that on. And now what we can do is we can mount our can using the 2 bolts they provided. Those machine screws that we spoke about earlier. I'll get those off my can here. Grab my screwdriver. And then come right back into place. Now this is also where the fender mat kind of comes in handy. I can put my stuff here, so that way I'll make sure not to drop anything. So all we need to do, line that up. And you want to hand start these bolts. The last thing you want to do is stick these bolts in place, make sure that they're going, moving along. Last thing you want to do is cross thread a bolt. So the last thing you do. I know cross thread might be better than Loctite, but that is not the situation or the case here. So once we have that on, I have that in place. See, we got my bracket a little dirty. Not a problem. There we go. Now that I got those on, I can take the JLT hoses, slide those over the fittings. Now those fittings are pretty tight, and we do want to get them as far down as possible. You might want to use a little bit of WD-40, kind of get them to go down as far as possible, so that way we create a good seal. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get those down here in a little bit, but for time purposes, now that we have that done, we can go ahead and take our nice engine cover, pop our can back off, or our cover back off, and then go ahead and slide this right back to the factory location, putting everything down, all right back on, and then there you have it, guys. There you have it. Now obviously I am going to get those lines on a little bit further because we do want them to be as far down as possible so that we make a nice good seal. Like I said, a little bit WD-40 should be able to help you out, get those slid on, no problem. But that is how you install a catch can on your LS3 transmission. So, quick run through. Do I need one? I do suggest it. It is suggested. It's one of those things that's going to be a maintenance item. It's going to prolong your maintenance that you might need to do later on down the road. It is an item that it's not really an eyesore. They make their kit so that way it goes right in place. It almost looked like it was there for factory, which it should have been. But JLT catch cans, there you have it. I also got our 6th Gen one over here. Installation is going to be just about the same. It's right under the intake manifold. It mounts right over by the strut tower that you have there on the 6th Gens. But the lines and everything, like I said, nice, conformed. The bracket, ooh, get myself a little cut there. The bracket and everything go right back in place. Right back in place, so you shouldn't have any problems getting the can installed on both your 5th Gen or your 6th Gen. Now there are the different models, like we said earlier, there are the different models as far as the clear anodized that they call it, or the black that we put on the car here. So depending on what setup you have, you maybe have some accessories that you want to kind of match, they have the clear anodized. And for you guys that want your custom colors, they don't offer custom colors, but what I have seen some of you guys out there that have taken these and either painted them, powder coated them, made them look with everything you got going. Since they're aluminum guys, they are going to be pretty simple and easy to have that done. Should not be a big deal for any paint or powder coater to do. That's what I have for you guys today, guys. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope that you guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give us that thumbs up. Go ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys hopefully another time. If you guys have any suggestions, let us know. Phone lines are always operating. Go ahead and leave us a comment. Shoot us a message. Shoot us an email. We'll see you guys again.